So today's lecture is regarding constitutionalism, constitution interpretation, and preamble. Right? So here, I'll just share my screen. Am I able to do that? Can you see that? Yes, can you all see that? So firstly and provisionally, we will talk about the preamble. How was it? How was the constitutional drafters had there in mind, and what were the interpretations related to the making of the preamble? Right. Firstly, what was the purpose of preamble? Right. The preamble to the Indian Constitution represents the whole structure and the fundamental values of the Constitution. It also emphasizes upon the aims, objectives which were laid by the founding fathers of our nation. Right. So it was adopted right there when it was adopted in 26 November. That is, we celebrate as a Law Day in 1949. Right. So earlier it was described that the state, which is India, was yet again was called Sovereign Democratic Republic. But later in 1976, when there was an emergency, it was declared through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment that state as the Sovereign Socialist Secular Democratic Republic, that is SSSTR. So two new words were added to the preamble. So that was the very first time the preamble was amended. Right? So the purpose of preamble. What is the purpose? So firstly, it has given it is imbibes the it is like a political horoscope to the Constitution, right? So if we read the preamble, it says that it derives its authority, the Constitution derives its authority from the people who are the actual representatives of the nation, and they are the ones who will decide whether uh, am I audible? I can see somebody. Okay, shall I continue? So I presume that everything is stable now. So yeah, so the second point, the second purpose of the preamble here is the nature. What is the nature of the state? This nature is primarily, yet again, sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic republic. So these are the terminologies which have imbibed in the Constitution and through which we can have an overview of what is in the Constitution. Right? It is like a soul to the Indian Constitution as defined by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And it is like an identity card to the Constitution that is defined by N.A. Palkiwala. Right? So as we read the preamble, it says, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic." So these terms define what is India and how it is the nature of the state, whether it is dictatorship, whether it is monarch. So we conclude itself as a sovereign nation, as a secular state, a socialist state, a democratic state, and a republican state, right? And the third purpose of the preamble is that it solves the objectives, it states the objectives or the goals of which the Constitution seeks to promote or emphasize upon. So the primary three goals are, yet again, justice, liberty, and equality and fraternity. Right? So justice should be on the basis of that should be a social justice, there should be economic justice, and political justice. Okay. And liberty should be in means of thought, of expression, belief, faith, and religion. And equality, as in the status and opportunity. And again, what is fraternity? Fraternity is assuring that every individual holds a dignified position in the country. They are, if they are citizens of the country, they are dealt with more brotherhood, and they are not discriminated or looked down upon on any basis. That there should be there should be no tolerance if there is any discrimination based on any caste, sex, place of birth, or caste, creed, religion, or whatsoever. Right? So, coming to the nature part. So, our preamble decides that it is a sovereign nation. So, how do you define sovereignty? Right? Sovereignty, yet again, means that it is a free state. It is not dependent on anybody. It is not reliable to any other nation of the world. It is supreme in its own self, and it is the one who makes laws for themselves, right? So it is externally free. It is not a colony anymore, which was it was before independence, right? So if we have added to the Commonwealth of Nations, so we are a part of this United Nations system. We have done it through a free will. We have accepted their we have accepted their wish willfully. We have accepted their conclusion, right? So state authority of India is supreme, and it towards its territorial boundary, it has all the means to make the laws for their own country, and it is free from any external control, right? So next is socialist. I can see some marks on the who is doing this. Shall I continue? Okay. Am I not audible? Oops. Ayushi, are you able to hear? Am I audible now? Okay. So shall I resume? I think there is some trouble. Okay. Yes. So where were we? I was discussing the meaning of sovereignty for as given in the preamble of our constitution, right? So sovereignty yet again means that India is free from any external control. It is supreme from all the countries, and has all the means to make their own laws. Okay. So within the country, within the territory of the boundaries of India, territorial boundaries, it has free to make their own laws and have no control over any supreme law of the world, right? So though we have concluded ourselves into being a part of UN or United Nations or any Commonwealth of Nations, but that is also again for the purposes of that we need to have peace in the world. That is the reason we have aided and we have willfully accepted their participation. but that does not mean they are able to control us. So we are a sovereign nation. We are willfully making our decisions, and we will continue doing that. Okay. Am I audible, all of you? Can you reply me in the chat box? So second point is socialist. So what do you understand by socialism? Socialism is social and economic equality. Okay. There is no definite meaning of its socialism as such, but it is construed that through Article 39B and 39C, we have the directive principles of the state policy. We try and we have embedded in our constitution that we want to have a socialist state. So social equality in this sense means there should be absence of any discrimination on the grounds of caste, color, creed, sex, religion, language, and everybody, immaterial of what standard they are or what status they share, they have the right of equal opportunity and equal status in the society. They should not be looked down upon. Okay. Second point here is economic equality. Yet again, it is the directive principle in the constitution, which are one of our aims which we have to achieve. It means that the government will endeavor to make the distribution of wealth more equal and provide a decent standard of living for all. Understood? So economic equality, it means that it is a purpose, or it is an objective for our constitution makers and for our makers or legislators, that we need to have economic equality in the country, that the government will make sure that there is equal distribution of wealth, as well as there should be a decent standard for living for all, right? So next is secularism. That is another objective which is enshrined in our preamble. So secularism does not mean that India is anti-religions, or it is irreligious, or that it is non-religious. Or you can say that it does not imply that religion, we are intolerant towards any religion. So it means sarva dharma sambhav in Hindi interpretation, meaning that states shall not discriminate anybody on the basis of their religion or any persons of the belief of their faith. Yet again, we have our fundamental rights from Article 25 to 28, which prescribes ways that how can we keep our faiths alive. We can worship on our own wish. We can go to temples. We can go to mosque, and India will not interfere with the religion practices of the nation, right? So that means that India is tolerant towards all the religions, but the state does not hold or promote any particular religion. Okay, I hope you're all following me. If there are any questions, or if you address something, you can always raise your hand or write in the chat box. I will unmute you and you can discuss it with me, right? So I move on to the next point, that is democratic. What is democratic? Firstly, democratic nation, earlier we were not a democratic nation. We were a colony of the United Kingdom, of the Queen, right? So it implies that the government which we have formed, yet again, the supreme, which is derived from the supreme authority, that is the people of the country. So we are the ones who will elect the government, who we will let rule us, right? So we invest our power to few leaders whom we only elect, and that is why we call ourselves a democratic country, right? We have popular elections, we have popular representations, even if it's a minutest town or a city or a village or a municipality, we are the ones who are electing our leaders there. We are the ones who are directly or indirectly, we are making them the heads of the areas, and we are giving them our power to make the rules for us. So next is republic. what is republic? We are a republican state. We say this. The republic means when there is no hereditary ruler, or there is no hereditary king or monarch in the country, or there are no prospective rights which are continued from one generation to the other generation. So, head of the state, or the person who will rule us, or the person who will make rules for us, is the one who will be elected, and that person either will be elected or uh, will be selected through any basis of merit and only occupy that office then. It will be a very judicious and a very meritorious system, that nobody will overpower anybody else. Either they will be elected or will be selected on the basis of the merit, right? So in India, every office, be it some official rank, be it some police rank, they all are selected on the basis of merit, and nobody is forced or made. There is no hereditary monarch, which will continue with the passage of time, right? So, any difficulties so far? I will move to the second part of the preamble and discuss the enforceability as well as the procedure for its amendment. So far, any questions in relation to the nature and purpose of preamble? I'll give few seconds. If you want to write something in the chat box, or you want me to unmute you, you can always raise your hand. Yes, Ayushi, can you just ask them if there are any questions so far?
Yes. Is there any question, guys? Hello?
Yes, I
Is
heard.
there any question?
So I presume there are no questions as such?
No, ma'am, I don't think so.
Okay, so let us proceed to the...
Ma'am, this session can be end. So, ma'am, kindly we can rejoin the session.
Okay, how would I do that?
No, ma'am, we have to just end this meeting and I'm creating that meeting again.
Okay, so just 2 minutes are left for this.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you want me to do?
I'm just ending this meeting. You just make end of this meeting. I'm making the new meeting.
Okay.